Everyone, welcome to our what we've been watching, reading, playing section. We just call it what we've been watching because I don't feel like typing all that out. What do you guys, Matt, what have you been watching recently?
I gotta go on Letterboxd.
Mark, what have you been watching
The first movie
recently?
I saw was another movie with a transportation device in the title. It was Pineapple Express, and it was okay. I laughed a couple of times. I feel like if I was in middle school, I watched it, I probably would have really enjoyed it. But it's a Seth Rogen stoner comedy, not one of the good ones.
Okay. Wait, what is when did that come out?
2008.
How does it hold up? Like, because you have what around wait, when Knocked Up come out?
That came out around the same year.
What?
I think it came out 2 years earlier or something. No, that came out in 2007. That was Seth Rogen's big. That's what launched him into,
What? What's your peak Seth Rogen movie?
Well, I mean, technically, it's Superbad.
Mm.
Superbad is my favorite. It's my favorite comedy. I'm probably gonna do that movie at some point for this podcast. It's brilliant. But I think for Seth Rogen movies that he starred in, it probably would be
This
Knocked
Is the
Up.
End. Knocked Up. Okay.
Yeah, Knocked Up is really good. I like Knocked Up.
I want to check that real quick because Seth Rogen's really interesting. Oh wait, what about 50-50? He's really great.
That's a good one too.
I will.
Oh yeah, 50-50 is great.
I will ride to the death for The Night Before. I think The Night Before is really fun. That's also by Jonathan Levine, who is made just really great movies. 50-50, Long Shot, Warm Bodies, and The Night Before. He also made Snatched with Amy Schumer. So I don't know what that says about him. He was in Kung Fu Panda, Matt.
Yeah, that's
Seth
right.
Rogen. He's
talking about movies he starred in.
He stars in Sausage Party. He's in Steve Jobs. I'm just going through him at this point.
Oh, he's great in Steve Jobs.
He's great. He's really good in Long Shot. Is he good in Steve Jobs? I haven't seen it.
He's actually he's phenomenal.
Okay, interesting.
He plays Steve Wozniak. And he's so good.
He's really good in 50-50. He does a really good job of his performance.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matt, what else have you watched besides Pineapple Express?
I watched Starsky and Hutch 2004.
What?
Stiller and Owen Wilson.
Why are you watching 2000s comedies?
This is one of my favorite comedies, and I watched so many horror movies for the Hereditary review that I kind of wanted to watch easier movies.
Okay.
And so this is one of my favorite comedies when I was younger, and I watched it again, and it's still good. It's kind of dated in some regards, but I kind of miss comedies that just weren't about swearing gratuitously.
Yeah.
This movie kind of has funny setups. There's a funny dance off with Ben Stiller and some guy at a disco where Ben Stiller has accidentally been doing cocaine and he's just so revved up. It's pretty funny. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but
I haven't.
It's on Netflix and I've seen it. I saw it a lot when I was younger, and I'd say it still holds up. I gave it 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. There's some dated stuff, but I really like the 70s style, everyone's dressed up in. And I think Owen Wilson, Ben Stiller, good chemistry in it, and there are some really good jokes too. I also saw a movie. Well, I'll do this one last because Tyler's seen this movie, so I'll say the one for last. But last night I saw Batman: Mask of the Phantasm.
Why? Isn't that 45 minutes long?
It's an hour and 10. It's from 1993, and
what made you want to watch that
Batman movie? It's actually it's not bad. It's okay.
It's all right. That's how we know it's okay. Your voice goes up 3 octaves.
Yeah. There's some pretty good fight scenes, and it kind of does a good job of talking about legacy and trying to make a good long-lasting impression for your parents, carrying on the legacy of your parents. That's what Batman's whole thing is about. He's fighting crime to honor his parents. And Mark Hamill voices Joker. I think this is the first time he voiced him, and he's phenomenal. His laugh legitimately creeped me out a couple times during the movie. And I don't know, I kind of like the themes of the movie. It's not brilliant by any means, but it kind of covers the same ground as Batman Begins, with Origins, but it's an hour and a half shorter, so I like it more. And yeah, I'd say that it's decent. I don't know. It was late at night. I kind of wanted to watch something, and I'm kind of down. I'm kind of downing on it. It actually has some really good themes of legacy that I kind of appreciated.
How does it hold up as an animated movie?
Pretty good. I didn't notice anything being that bad. The fight scenes look good. The animation's good. It's not Up or anything, or Kung Fu Panda or anything brilliant like that, but it's good for its time, and it wasn't distracting at all. It felt good for what it was.
Okay.
And finally, I
Yeah.
watched 71.
Yeah, I recommended this movie to you,
Um,
man.
This movie is brilliant.
Yeah, it's
I really
great.
love this movie. It takes place in Belfast during the Troubles, and as someone who's been to Belfast, I really appreciated um, like because I've seen a lot of the places that are actually in this movie, and it's just covering this British soldier that gets that's fighting along with the Protestant loyalists, fighting against not fighting but like trying to control like the Catholic minority in their neighborhood in Belfast. And I think it just and then at one point the soldier gets broken off from his group and has to survive the night in Belfast, having no idea where he is and trying to survive the Catholic the Catholic rogue factions that are trying to kill him, and also some other British soldiers that want him dead as well. So this movie is I compared a lot to like Trading Day in Good Time, sort of, because it's like a one night thing about this guy trying to survive, where the environment itself is kind of working against him.
Yep.
And I don't know, Jack Connell is really great in it, and I really appreciated like the sort of bleak ending to it as well. I don't know, Tyler, what did you think of it?
One of my favorite parts about this movie is it very much feels like it's just a one small part of a much larger story.
Yeah, that's a Training Day and Good Time reference that I'm
that it's very much like there's a resolution for our main character, but the ending of the movie is technically, it feels like it's like one of those ideas of like sequel baiting, but it's really just people trying to like continue their lives in the setting. Like instead of one guy killing a main adversary, he's like, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to work for me.
Yeah, you expect that to pay off later on, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. It's the end of the movie because but it's also like, there's a lot of times like I really like this director did a movie called White Boy Rick, which I have not seen, but this is his like one of his first like major pictures. I think he might have one earlier, but there's like a really wonderful energy to this. Like there's a times where it's like it's very handheld. There are often times like the camera's like you can feel it being picked up, and there's like things happen. It's just like it's wonderfully bleak. It's hard to watch, but you're also just like Jack Connell doesn't have a lot of character, but he has enough, and he kind of it's just like this constant like beating on this dude to survive. And you find out in the movie he's 20. Like the character's 20. And it's just a lot. But there's also like wonderful like harrowing scenes. There's a bomb that goes off and it like holds on the body of a dead child with his arms blown off. Just to like you weigh the repercussions of what's happening. Because
there's all these like factions, and like when everything starts to come together, you get really sort of like it gets really intense at that too. Like they do a good job balancing all the factions. And like I'm gonna just briefly talk about my time in Belfast, but just like,
go for it,
2
Matt.
minutes. But like being
Mark
there, we did a tour of the Troubles, like of like the border between like the Protestants and the Catholics in Belfast. And even today, like what is this, almost 50 years later?
71.
There's still so much like the Troubles are technically over, but there's so much tension between the two sides still. Like you walk around and there's like monuments on each side of the peace wall. Like on the Catholic side, it's like huge monuments of like 20 Catholics dead in 1992 because of Protestant bombing. And that's just there, like in huge display. So like you're just growing up, like, and then the same thing on the Belfast on the Protestant side. It's like oh, car bombing killed 15 Protestant, 15 people on our side. And here's a huge monument for that. So like these people are just constantly surrounded by monuments that are reminding people of all the violence that has occurred to them on the other side. So there's definitely there's a lot of bias on both sides of history, on both sides of the communities. And like there's one painting on the Protestant side of like this Protestant rogue faction paramilitary group, and like this one guy who killed like the most Catholics of any other guy, and they have a huge like wall painting of him, like honoring him. It's like this guy is a horrible human being who murdered innocent people, but still like they had this huge monument for him. So like I love the bleak ending to this because still today nothing is solved really. And I even talked to my tour guide, and he was like, I was like, so officially, are there any IRA people still in Belfast? He's talking about on the record or off the record? I'm like, off the record. So yeah, there's still tons of IRA people still here as well. So I don't know. I really love this movie. Just the tone of the movie was so fitting from what I could tell from Belfast. I've only been there twice, and each time was like for a day, so I'm not claiming to be an expert. But from what I could tell, I was really into this movie.
Yeah, I just want to highlight a few more things real quick. Again, I love how it doesn't try to solve anything. It's really just we're witnessing an outside character go through like the worst like day and a half of his life as he tries to survive. But there's also like really graphic violence. One of my favorite parts, and it's just a quick little shot, but when they start throwing bricks at the shoulders, rocks and stuff like that, and the rock hits one of the soldiers' head,
Yeah.
and it's just like red mist goes up and he just
Yeah.
drops, and
Oh
you're
my
just
God,
like,
it's
you're
great.
like, Jesus, you're like, oh my God,
Because it's like poop and
Yeah.
pee at first, and they're just laughing like
Yeah.
funny because it's little kids, and then all of a sudden
it's just like a big, but it's like that quick, but it's not held on long. It's just like a quick red mist cut. He's done, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh my God, and then the soldier gets shot like right in the face and the eye, and you're like, oh my God, it's great. It's also short. It's like an hour 35, and it's on Amazon Prime. Go watch this movie.
And it covers so much ground in just an hour and 35.
It's
so well.
great.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I'm really glad. Like, I actually had a recommendation to give for you once that you enjoyed.
No, this is good. I'm glad. Like, I went. Like, even if I hadn't gotten to Belfast, I mean, you haven't gone, so like, and you still really loved it, and I really loved it too. So yeah, I'd recommend it to people who like Good Time or Training Day because it's very much in line with those movies.
Yeah. Mark, since you seem to be falling asleep, what did you watch this week? And then I'll get to mine.
I only watched Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I just absolutely love this movie so much. It's so, like, the best way I could describe it for me is it's so cathartic. It feels so good when Django just fucking obliterates everybody. And it's like 2.5 hours long, and it's like I turn it on, like every time I watch it, I turn it on, and then it's like over. I'm like, oh, it's been 2.5 hours. Whoa, you know?
Yep.
It's like one of my, I don't know. I have to really go through Tarantino's films again because it's like either that or Reservoir Dogs is my favorite.
It's up there for you. I really
Reservoir
love
Dogs.
Django. Matt,
I love Django.
Matt, give your 30 seconds on why you don't like Django.
You don't like Django?
I don't dislike it. I think it's one of Tarantino's worst though.
Why? Go for it. Give it like 30 seconds.
First of all, the movie should have ended at the shootout at Candyland. It goes on for another 30 minutes. It's completely unnecessary. Also, the Django himself. So, what's his name? Jamie Foxx is a great actor, but he's outacted because his character is pretty limited. I think he's completely outacted by Samuel L. Jackson, by Leonardo DiCaprio, Christoph Waltz. Like, they're way more interesting than he is, and Django's the last one to survive. So yeah, the movie goes too long, and I feel like there's just so many characters. Like, I feel like Tarantino movies are known for their really great characters, like the side characters and main characters alike. But all the side characters, from what I can remember, is they're just like racist. It's like, this is a white racist guy. He's gonna say the N-word a bunch of times, so you get happy when he gets shot in the face at the end. Like, that's, I don't know. But like the main characters are really good, except for Django, who's kind of bland. But
so you think it's like your least like in depth, like
like I don't know, like you look at Pulp Fiction, and every character is so interesting. In Reservoir Dogs, every character is so interesting, and in this movie, like there are real, like I love. It might be my favorite Tarantino scene ever when he is when he brings out the skull. He's like, this here is Ben, and he cracks the skull up and like Leonardo DiCaprio really like cuts his hand. He's bleeding everywhere. That scene is so brilliant. I love that scene so much. But there's so many just generic characters on the side that I don't think are that interesting. I don't think Django. I think Jamie Foxx is a great actor, as he proved in the Driver movie. Edgar Wright movie.
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
He's wonderful.
Phenomenal. Like why couldn't he show that kind of personality in this movie? And Christoph also kind of dies at the end.
Okay, hold on. You're dogging on Jamie Foxx, his character, and the way he's performing. I recall an interview where Jamie Foxx talks about auditioning for this role, and he goes to a script reading, and he's reading his lines, and Quentin is there, and he's like, and I'm paraphrasing Jamie Foxx. He's like, I'm going like, and I'm like being all cool, reading my lines, and then Quentin Tarantino's like, cut. Can you come over here real quick? And then he talks to Jamie, and he says, he's not okay. Django is not cool. He's a slave. Okay, stop coming in here. You got your Gucci bag coming in here in your Range Rover. He's a slave. He's not supposed to be cool. Like that's the whole point of the character.
See, so
but that doesn't change the fact that I think his performance is bland. Samuel Jackson is a slave in the movie too, and he has charisma in it.
Okay.
He's not cool though.
I want to throw a hat into the ring. This role was initially offered to Will Smith. Will Smith is arguably a far more charismatic actor in person than Jamie Foxx. Maybe if Will Smith takes this, it like natural charisma and like kind of elevates maybe the performance or the character. Because Jamie Foxx, admittedly, despite being a good actor, Baby Driver is like his best performance, and that came out 5 years after. Maybe he didn't have it. I haven't seen Ray. I just watched Miami Vice. Like, it's just like, I'm like playing catch up, but I feel like if this is a Will Smith movie, I feel like there's a natural kind of like kind of coolness to it that Jamie Foxx doesn't have.
When I was watching the movie, I was like, I'm so glad it was Jamie Foxx and not Will Smith.
Really?
I think I love Jamie Foxx in this film.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, like,
I think
I know he's
cool. I just don't think that it doesn't change it. Like, even if he's given that direction not be cool, I still think he's overshadowed. Like, doesn't change the fact that he's still overshadowed by the other main characters in the movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but still, his character's as a slave. He's been enslaved for like, well, who knows how long.
Yeah, but as I said, Samuel L. Jackson isn't cool. In the movie,
But
he's
but whatever his name is, Ben or something, or that's his dad's name. You know, he's like the right hand man to Calvin Candy.
Well,
like he's not. He's a slave. He's a slave, but he's not like a slave. I guess.
Well, Django wasn't a slave either. He was freed.
Yeah, I know, but he was just freed.
But he's not a slave.
Oh my God, we're arguing semantics now.
I feel like I'm arguing against a brick wall.
All right.
Well, I mean, you're saying that Tarantino said something, so therefore it is gospel, and I'm saying that it doesn't change my opinion. The fact that I don't think
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Jamie Foxx is
okay. Well, just take the second to recognize what it is.
I did recognize
and then
I think Tarantino gave him bad direction.
Okay, that's fair.
Damn.
I think he gave him good directing.
All right.
I mean, Christoph Waltz and Inglourious Basterds is like the worst Nazi ever. Yet he's charismatic. Why can't? Like, why is it okay for him to be charismatic?
I feel like you're now comparing apples.
That's a bad comparison.
I feel like you're comparing apples to oranges in this one, and I'm on both your sides. I don't like when the parents fight. So, all right, Mark, that was your thoughts on Django Unchained. What else? I think you might have finished something else.
Well, I'm almost okay. I haven't technically finished Antkind.
Okay.
I have 90 pages to go, so I'm like on page 610 or something like that. I'm having a hard time.
How do you compare it in like how do you view it as like a Charlie Kaufman vehicle?
I love Charlie Kaufman, and you guys know that.
Yep.
This is like rank on the lowest tier for me for his works.
Damn, okay.
The first 100 pages are like so good. Like the first half is like really good. I think like with each 100 pages, my interest is less and less. And then it gets really weird. This book gets really, really weird. There's like a lot of different timelines and you're jumping all over the place and it's like really confusing and it takes a bit to figure out where you are. And yeah, I don't know how else to describe it, but it's very weird. The second half is 610 out of the 700 pages. So I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. Yeah,
what are you planning on staying up to? 90 pages is like 2 hours of reading.
Like tonight or tomorrow, I'm gonna finish it. Once I'm in like that final sprint mode, like last 50 pages, like that's when like I can finish a book.
Okay.
I just gotta get to that point. But anyway, yeah, I don't know about this book. I gotta see how it ends because now, like I'm like begrudgingly picking it up to read.
Can we throw out because Charlie Kaufman, a criticism of Charlie Kaufman a lot of times is pretentious. He's not pretentious. But he's not. Okay, but what about like does that fall under this book? Because that's the kind of like the vibes I feel like I'm getting from you. Is that like it starts to like gray that line a little bit between Charlie Kaufman who has something to say and then the pretentious people who are the pretentious kind of like I'm quirky because I'm like creative. Like does that make any sense? Like how does it fall under that spectrum?
Well, he's very creative, but he's also very he's pretty humble and self-aware. Like I've watched, he's done like a bunch of like lecture series with BAFTA, like on YouTube, and he just talks about his writing process. And he's like, I don't know anything. Like writing for me is very hard, and I try not to pretend like I know anything because I really don't, and it takes me forever to write this stuff. And I like want to write something that's, true. Like he has a lot of comments on the current state of, Hollywood, and like, it's very evident that he is very opinionated on superhero films. So I would
use them as roller coaster rides.
He probably would.
Yep.
I would agree with him, actually. I'm on Team Scorsese here. But it's not a criticism. That's not a criticism.
He's opened the floodgates. We're gonna get so much hate.
They would have hated the Eternal Sunshine video.
Yeah,
before this one.
But
I'm gonna say for Mark, Charlie Kaufman, you're a hack.
He's not a hack.
Oh my god!
Calling
you out.
I read Mark's mind. I saw the word hack. Just kind of brushed through it for a minute.
To the people who say Charlie Kaufman is pretentious, please go watch Adaptation. Go watch Adaptation. That movie is a fucking masterpiece. And Charlie Kaufman, Nicolas Cage plays Charlie Kaufman in the film. It's that's like one of those films you like watch at the perfect time. I watched that film at the perfect time. I remember sitting in bed watching the movie, and I just I stood up. I was like, I cannot fucking believe what I'm watching right now. This is I'm having like some sort of like out of body experience watching this film.
Damn.
I don't want to say for what reason though, because it's I think
I gotta check it out. I gotta check out that in Synecdoche, New York, and kind of get the full Kaufman like writing and directing experience.
There's one of the big plot points of the film. Tyler, you're gonna pick up on. Matt, you won't. No, I mean like it's not like a thematic plot.
Is it like a tie into being John Malkovich?
That partially, yeah, but also like
okay.
I don't want to say like MacGuffin, but there's a thing in the movie that you will recognize, Tyler, because I've talked about it with you, but I haven't talked about it with Matt.
Oh God.
You'll know it when you see it.
All right, that works. I can do that.
Yeah.
All right, we're not done with what we've been watching. I got a few movies.
Wait, Matt, you were gonna say something to me, right?
I forgot.
Okay.
I have. I went on my South Korean kick. I watched a movie. Well, I watched 71. I highly recommend it. I already kind of aired my stuff about it. I only watched 6 movies since we last talked.
Wow,
I want to go.
You're really slacking.
I want to go on one movie, and I want to talk a little bit about this. And I kind of want to appeal to Mark here a little bit. But I watched a movie called Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring, and it's a South Korean movie from 2003. And Mark, I want to quote Roger Ebert's opening line for his review.
Okay.
Roger Ebert said in a review for this, he said his opening line is, "Rarely has a movie this simple moved me this deeply." We often hear a lot about the times of someone like Kubrick or Fincher having like a control over the set and what happens in a movie. It's why with like The Shining, there's the documentary Room 237 is like, oh, did Kubrick plan everything? I don't think so. I don't think it's really like that. Mark, you know more about Kubrick than I do, but never has a movie so conveyed kind of that control to me, and it felt natural. I don't know who this director is. I haven't seen other movies by this person. I can't even remember the name of the director, but there is such a simplicity and a control over, it feels like every single camera shot, every single action, every single line of dialogue, which there's probably only about 100 lines of dialogue in this movie. Everything feels purposeful. Everything feels very theatrical. Matt, you would probably like this. It feels very much kind of like a theater play. A lot of times the acts are started by opening a door and closing the door, very much like theater curtains. There's also just like a wonderful transition and a wonderful character arc. It's a movie about a Buddhist monastery. It made me want to learn about Buddhism and kind of the symbolism of it to go and rewatch this movie and understand it. It also has one of the more interesting endings I've seen that completely recontextualizes a lot of our understanding of the beginning parts of the movie. I don't know how this movie was made, but it has probably there's a lot of sequences set in winter with like the actor who is very clearly seems like winter, and the actor's just doing stuff like shirtless in the snow. It's baffling. This movie is so methodical, and it's one of like the few South Korean movies that have really kind of gotten to me a little bit. I've said this before, but I saw The Devil, Burning, and now this movie, because I always feel like I have a little bit of a disconnect with South Korean movies. Mainly it's the cultural barrier, language barrier, I don't know. But this is one of the movies that just kind of worked. It's on Amazon Prime. It has subtitles. Go watch it. I gotta look up a lot of stuff about Buddhism and then rewatch the movie. It's baffling. I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon
How
Prime.
long
You
is
can
it?
stream it. It's a little under 2 hours. It's not a long movie. The second South Korean movie I watched was a revenge thriller mystery movie kind of called The Man from Nowhere. This is also on Amazon Prime. I had seen this before and I looked it up and it gotten like praised reviews. And it's a really fun, enjoyable like revenge movie. It kind of has like shades of like The Fugitive combined with kind of like just like general like bad guys doing bad guy things. If you're not a fan of things happening to kids and implications of that, this movie's a little tough at times. It was for me. There's
So excited for Lady Vengeance.
I'm not looking forward to it, but there's a couple times with like eyes with kids and it's really tough, but it like perfectly captures what I like enjoy about these type of movies. Is like a protagonist who just like doesn't look like much, but then has a bunch of like badass skills and like it reveals them over the course of the movie. So anytime he does something cool, I like do my like like my giggle a little bit, and I kind of like rewind it and watch it again. This movie is like 2 hours long. It took me like 2 hours and 20 minutes to watch because I kept rewatching scenes in it when the main character is doing stuff. It's fun. It's simple. It's not a perfect movie. The dialogue is a little cheesy. It's not the best looking movie. It also feels like the main character could have like explained some stuff and a lot of stuff would have been clarified. But there's like really creative sound design, like knives like clinking. There's a great final fight. It's just so much fun. And it's like really violent too. There's a great sequence where the main character's dragging a guy away while he's fighting off people and he just slashes the guy's wrist and like lets him bleed out, like the blood spurts. And you're just like, oh my God, that's how he kills the guy. It's so much fun. It's just a wonderful watch. But if you want to watch this on Amazon Prime, you have to turn on subtitles. It doesn't automatically come with it. I love this movie. That was my South Korean thing. I rewatched Spider-Man Far From Home with my younger brother. This movie's weird. It's really like I saw it once and I didn't really care for it, and then I watched it again and I thought it was fine. It was a little bit higher, but the more I sit on it, the more something about it feels very fake, and I really struggle with it. Maybe listen, I don't care about changing comic book characters. I don't care if you like change anything about them. It doesn't bother me. I think it makes it creative, but theirs feels like something very fake and artificial about having like Spider-Man who's like the representation of like fighting for the little guy, like having like the tech of like a billionaire and going on like European vacations and I know it's a different kind of world.
We did that. What do you mean it's not relatable?
That's true. But there feels like something like very like disingenuous about it.
Except it was less romantic.
It was
Spider-Man Far From Home was less romantic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, ours was way more romantic.
Ours were like our fights on. I wonder if I can. I'm gonna show the photo. Us fighting on the riverbanks.
In the Tiber River.
In the Tiber River, yep. Far romantic than anything. I still like stuff about this movie. I think the teenage romance stuff is like really well done and doesn't feel like it's like done by like a 55-year-old Hollywood exec like having his fingers in it. But there's something that just feels really fake about this movie. And I don't know if it has something to do with the character or the way it looks, or it feels like it's a product of the Marvel sheen. But I gave it like 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I really kind of soured on it after reviewing it. The more it sat with me.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I remember we saw that in theaters, and I remember like being excited to watch it, and it just was so redundant. Like it doesn't matter. And it was just Spider-Man, and he's after Endgame. Like I understand they want to go smaller with their like plots, but it just like I felt like all like the chemistry between like the little all the high school kids was they felt less realistic than it was in Homecoming, especially the bully kid. He felt like he was on another level. I felt like he was really animated in it, like overly animated and realistic. And then like they have a huge CGI battle at the end. It doesn't make any sense. It just Spider-Man feels tired. It just feels like who cares at this point? Like there's so many Spider-Mans and it just doesn't matter anymore.
Mark, have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I saw it when it came out in theaters, and for the past like I'd say decade, James Cameron, Francis Ford Coppola, Scorsese, they talk about superhero fatigue, and it's like, okay, you old fuck, sure,
like
and
sure,
then,
man,
yeah, and then this coming off of Endgame, and you see Spider-Man Far From Home, you're just like, Shit, I don't really care.
That's what I think it is. I agree. That
There's
might
no
be a good way of
stakes.
putting it.
Absolutely no stakes.
I feel really like maybe like this in the way of and like and I mean this in all levity, but like having Corona like basically halt Marvel movies for their foreseeable future might be a blessing in disguise, because like the Black Widow movie looks decent. It's done by the choreographers, a lot of the John Wick stuff, so it's gonna have like
But it won't have
decent
any of their
action scenes.
style.
I don't think it will. So maybe this like 16, like we're on like 16 months without a superhero movie now or something like that. I think,
Yep.
or maybe a year. Like we're gonna go.
It doesn't. I don't feel like I'm having withdrawals at all.
Neither do I. Maybe that's like a benefit, but yeah, you're right. Like I watched Spider-Man Home. I just like don't care.
What do you think? Like, do you feel like Tom Holland's kind of like already hit his peak?
No, and the only reason I say that is because a new trailer for the Netflix movie The Devil All the Time came out, and he looks really good in that.
Okay.
He has like
Yeah,
a
I saw
southern
that.
accent, and he looks really solid.
All right, because I feel like his Spider-Man shit kind of got old.
I think it's just the Spider-Man stuff.
He's very talented. So he
Yeah.
just needs to be put in
Maybe
the right role.
I'll be more optimistic. I guess,
Hey,
but
wait, Matt, he's in Chaos Walking. Don't forget.
Yeah, the Charlie Kaufman written movie.
Charlie Kaufman wrote that.
I think Charlie Kaufman like
Hey, what are you
did like a
talking about?
treatment of this.
The
He's in a
Daisy
movie.
Ridley Tom Holland movie.
Yeah, there's a Doug Liman movie. The guy who made
Yeah, I know
American
it's
Made
Doug
and Born
Liman.
movies. It's a movie called Chaos Walking book based on like a young adult book, and like Charlie Kaufman like had a hand in the script or something. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm looking this up right now.
didn't he also write part of Kung Fu Panda 2 or something crazy?
Yeah, Mark mentioned that. Maybe that's why Kung Fu Panda 2 is so great.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know if it. I think Mark might have hit the nail on the head. It might be the first time I just don't care. But it also like I think I needed a break after Endgame without realizing it. But also
Yeah.
something just feels very untrue to like the essence of Spider-Man. And I hate that because I don't care if they change the characters or change it.
But like Homecoming felt so quaint and like in a good way. Like
Homecoming's good.
All the
yeah.
What?
Homecoming's a good movie.
It is good. I rewatched it like in the past couple months, and all like the high school drama stuff feels really realistic.
Yeah.
And well, considering, and then like it has like a pretty quaint fight at the end that feels true to like what they're trying to go for. But then Spider-Man Far From Home is trying to be quaint while also having a big bombastic ending on the London Bridge where there's a billion CGI TVs projecting an image or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? What like the whole ending fight is just so ridiculous. And there's that whole scene where Jake Gyllenhaal is naming every single employee that's
oh my god, like the exposition
by
dump.
Stark corporations, and it's and like one character comes back to play a role in the plot later on, but it's such a cringeworthy scene. Why is this here?
That bothered me because that's like the exposition dump of the century. He goes, Tony Stark did this, and you helped with that, and because of that, and you helped with that. Mark, you seemed like you had a revelation. What happened?
I just back to Chaos Walking. Charlie Kaufman worked on the screenplay.
Yeah, it's weird.
What is happening with this thing?
I think they offered him a lot of money.
Was this movie delayed horribly because Doug Liman is just taking his time?
Yeah.
I was having so much fun making fun of this movie, and now my boy has a hand in this thing.
Wait,
and now I
what's
feel
the joke
guilty.
about the movie? I don't.
It's like
just like it's like that and New Mutants. It's like, it's gonna come out. Okay,
the New Mutants is coming out though. I saw a trailer for it on TV. It looks terrible.
But like it's been pushed back 6 times or some shit.
Oh my
it's so funny seeing Macy Williams look so young.
The first
it feels like I've gone back in time.
We were sophomores in college when the trailer came out.
Really?
Oh my god, were we really? That's terrifying. One more movie because our what we've been watching section is a little long. I watched Miami Vice, Michael Mann's Miami Vice. I have a lot of weird thoughts about this movie. It's like we use the
sexual.
But Colin Farrell, Jesus, he looks so cool in this movie. There's oftentimes like the word polarizing is used like too liberally, and everyone uses it. It's so polarizing. Oh, whoa, polarizing. This movie's like legitimately like polarizing. If you watch the trailer, it's very much marketed as like this high octane action movie where Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx go undercover in a Colombian drug cartel, but it's like nothing like that. It's like a subdued drama as characters kind of like lie their way through situations, and a romance story with not a lot of chemistry, but it's visually like super engaging, and it's just like all over the place, and I kind of loved it. But it's also like one of those movies that's critically people don't like it, and commercially when it came out people didn't like it, but it's had like the second wave Or if you go on like Letterboxd and look at all the reviews, people are like really digging this movie now.
Where'd you watch it on?
I watched on I bought it on Amazon Prime, just rented it. No, I really did. I wanted to watch it in HD. You bastard. It's really.
I swear, I had the receipt.
I had the look. It's really polarizing. I think I really liked it. It's like just surprisingly quaint and simple. And I really want to go through Michael Mann's stuff now. Michael Mann is probably going to be the next director I recommend after Nolan.
I like how you brought up the word polarizing having been bastardized.
Yeah.
In cinema, like I feel like the source of that was Batman vs Superman, where it's like this movie's polarizing.
Yeah.
It's like no, it's just DC fanboys not accepting that.
It was
the
that
terrible.
And then
like,
Last Jedi.
Yeah, exactly. Like big.
And
then
the word objective became synonymous with film and how we should all look at films objectively.
Now it's sunk its way into PS4 exclusive games.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2 is an objective failure.
I would
objective cinematic failure.
I would be really curious to see what you guys think about Miami Vice. I don't know if you guys would like it. I don't.
Did Michael Mann do Collateral?
Yes, and Collateral.
I did not like Collateral.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god! If you don't like Collateral, I don't know. That's the thing, though. You could.
What do you like?
Yeah. No, that's the thing.
I just praised Train to Busan.
Matt, Matt, you don't like Collateral, but there's a chance you love this movie. But there's a chance you also despise this movie. Mark, you might love this movie. Like I want you guys to watch it. That would be like hey, you got like 2 hours and 12 minutes. It's a long movie to check out. Give it a shot. I think you guys might enjoy it or not. I don't really know, but I'd love to hear your thoughts about it to feel like some form of validation.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. I'd watch it, but I don't think I'm going to pay money for it.
That's valid. That's fair. That's all the movies I've watched. Matt, what is our call to action and what are we doing next episode?
Just like, comment, subscribe. Comment your favorite film fraud as long as it's me. Go to our Scrabbles channel. Give us some Scrabbles.
You wink, Mark. Ugly. Terrible. Matt.
You get what I was referencing?
Yeah, you're referencing Funhouse.
Yeah. And next time, we're continuing with Mark's director's choice. Do you want to take this away, Mark?
We are going to be doing Punch Drunk Love, the 2002 Adam Sandler, Paul Thomas Anderson film. And I'm very excited to talk about it. Tyler's got the Criterion right there. I have the Criterion as well.
I have the Criterion too, in my brain.
In your brain.
So that's what you can expect to come next from the film frauds. So,
and then later on in the week, the Great Prometheus debate. Hopefully.
Yes, the Great Prometheus debate. I
can't wait.
I'm so excited for that.
That's gonna be us just yelling at each other for like an hour and a half. I cannot wait for it.
It's gonna be me and Matt high-fiving each other constantly and going like, "Oh, remember that awesome part?" And then when Tyler speaks, we're like, "Shut up, swine!"
You don't like this movie. All right, yeah, that's what we got planned. Thank you guys for watching, and I get the final word. Goodbye.